Welcome to Bills Postgame Live. We are presented by the divorce and estate planning law firm of Wesley, Clark, and Peshkin. Maddy Glab alongside Steve Tasker. And all week we heard about this Miami offense that scored 70 on the Broncos. And how would the Bills defense do against a fast, high-paced, high-flying offense in the Dolphins? And they held the team that was averaging 43 points per game to start the season to just 20 points. The Bills get the win over the Dolphins. 48-20 is your final score. Steve, how did the Bills get it done today?
Well, they allowed the Dolphins. Both these teams are really playing at a high level. There's no question about it. And for anybody to beat these teams in this playoff kind of atmosphere we had today, the team that loses is going to have to help the other team. The Dolphins helped the Bills today, no question about it. A long penalty, a pass interference on the Diggs that set up a Diggs touchdown or the second touchdown of the game. The turnovers were the big story as well. And then late in the game, Tua started getting sacked. When Terran Armstead, the left tackle, left the game, the Dolphins' pass protection really took a step backwards, and the Bills were really able to get a lot of heat on them. So the Dolphins helped the Bills a little bit in this game, but man, oh man, the Bills brought it offensively. There's no question. Their defense tried their best to keep the Bills off the board, and 48 points later, they just couldn't get it done.
There were 4 straight scoring possessions to start this game, 2 on the Bills side of things, 2 on the Dolphins side of things, and it was like, is this going to be a track meet the entire game? But the Bills defense was able to slow down the Dolphins offense, and after those 2 straight touchdown possessions that the Dolphins had to start the game, they went 1 of 9 on offensive possessions with just 1 scoring drive to finish the game.
That was a great job by the Bills defense.
Yeah.
Absolutely stellar.
The last 3 possessions by Miami, it was turnover on downs, and another turnover on downs to end the game. All right, Josh Allen is on the podium answering some questions, so we'll send it right over to him.
How we doing?
Hey, all week long, it just felt like you guys had this calm about you. Like the whole world was excited about this matchup, 70 points, this and that. You guys could you just explain the vibe that was in your room all week?
I mean, yeah, every week's a different week. Doesn't matter what you did last week. Doesn't matter what you're going to do next week. It's all about, playing on this Sunday at 1 o'clock. And I thought our guys were, very locked in on details this week in terms of game plan specific things and just making sure we're having a good presence in our locker room. And, it speaks volumes to our leadership. But at the end of the day, it's one game. We got to go to London next week, and that's what we'll focus on.
Josh, 84%, 320 yards, 4 eagles, no bogeys. Just care to talk about how you and Dorsey was able to put together a great game plan today.
That was good. Dorsey had a heck of a game plan, and our guys went out there and did it, and Stephon Diggs, taking a stop route essentially and making 2 guys miss and taking it 50, that's huge for us. We haven't had a whole bunch of that in the first couple weeks, but getting some rack going, getting some, Dalton and Gabe going. I still think we have more. We're going to have to learn from a lot from this tape and find ways to get better. But we left a lot out there, and we'll focus on correcting those things.
That's always the case, Josh, in a lot of respects, and I understand it's a week-to-week league, but after the opener against the Jets, now in successive games, do you have a sense of what you've been able to establish, maybe as an offense?
Yeah. Kyle Allen, the least efficient runner in the league. We like that. He's okay with it. He's not too happy about it, but we'll cheer him up. We're finding ways to win football games. I think we're incorporating the run game very well. Obviously, play action off of that. I think our guys are doing a good job of getting open and making plays. Our line is giving defensive fronts different looks. We're moving those guys around, doing a good job with that. Kudos to Cromer and Dorsey for calling that. But again, our defense put us in some really good situations today, and knowing that we have them on the other side of the football gives us a lot of confidence.
Hey, Josh, you mentioned Ken, some of the formations he used early in the game. How impressed are you with the way the things he's cooking up for guys?
Yeah, it's been great. We got to continue to do that, and as time goes on and as film comes out and teams are going to start scheming for that, it's every offensive coordinators to throw in wrinkles and find different ways to get our guys the ball, and it's my job to go out there and execute it and try to be an extension to him, and that's all I'm trying to do.
Josh, you said you still feel like there's room for this offense to grow. Coming off a game where you scored on almost every drive, what do you see the ceiling of this team looking like as you move forward?
Again, our thought process every time we touch the ball is to score, and whether that be 6 or 3, no turnovers today, which is great, but I still think there's some things we can clean up, and as good as it looked out there, film, it's never as bad, it's never as good as you think it's going to look. So a lot to learn from, and we'll get in there tomorrow and focus on cleaning some things up and turn our focus to a really good Jacksonville team.
Josh, what's it mean to have the defense play the way yours has, especially against they were the leading scoring team in the league, 70 points last week, and really only 3 touchdowns is actually pretty good against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, that's an explosive group. One of the most explosive groups I think you can put on paper to ever play in this league. So, again, hats off to our guys for going out there and playing a heck of a game. I thought Coach McDermott did a good job of scheming things. But we're going to see those guys again, and they're gonna give us their best shot, and we got to be ready for that. But we'll focus on that when it comes.
Josh did look good for Trey. How deflating is that?
It breaks my heart. It really does, and I'm not sure the extent of it. But you never want to see your teammates on the floor pounding their fists. It sucks. He's worked his ass off to get back to playing the way we know Trey playing football, and truly it breaks my heart.
Josh, sorry to follow up with this, but you obviously try and evolve every offseason, but how do you feel like your offense is evolving week to week?
I think we're doing a good job of running the football and making sure the runs that we put in are stuff that our offensive linemen and running backs are familiar with and comfortable with. And again, just being efficient when we call those runs, and then the play action passes off of them. And I think, again, that's Dorsey, that's Cromer, that's Brady, that's everybody in that offensive staff room talking and communicating well and putting something out there for us. And then it's our guys going out there and executing.
Hey, Josh Gabe has a touchdown catch in 3 straight games. How important was it to get him into it early season?
Yeah, we don't want to just make him big play Gabe. We got to still find ways to incorporate him in some of this shorter stuff and save his legs, because when he's got the ball in his hands, I think good things typically happen. So again, finding different ways to get him the ball may be something we can look into. But yeah, he's come up big for us time and time again, and we're going to need him going forward.
Josh, the talk will basically be centered around you guys. So is there anything you want to say to all the naysayers and doubters who rent you guys off early in the season?
No, thank you.
There you go, Josh. Take the high road there. Take the high road. All right, it's time for this week's Microsoft Surface Player Spotlight, and that's got to be Stefon Diggs. Microsoft Surface Player Spotlight is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills, and my, oh my, did Steph have a game. 6 catches, 120 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. The 2, Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, were unstoppable today. Steve, why was he able to have such a great game?
I don't know, but he got 7 targets, had 6 receptions. He makes himself available, Josh, on this touchdown here, the one that just got over the edge. He comes in on an inside route, goes behind the linebacker, slips in, looks for the ball. You got to be fearless going in there too, because you're on the goal line, in your opponent's goal line, you're catching the ball kind of standing still. You're going to get hammered. And then this play on the sideline where he spun away from 2 guys, broke loose, stayed alive, and went for 59 yards. 55 yards. Absolutely sensational play. The 3rd touchdown was an absolute masterclass in how to run a route. They're down close in the end zone. He comes out, little short motion, jab step, turns to the outside, and in the red zone, it's hard to find space down there. And he got 5 yards of separation inside the 15-yard line. Just a masterclass in how to run a route. 3 touchdown catches. They were all absolutely critical in this game. Certainly in the beginning of this game, we didn't know how this was going to go before the Dolphins turned it over a couple of times. But having that guy that you can lean on, and they continually lean on him. Mm-hmm. And he has yet to let this team down. He comes through and gets separation and catches the ball. what a game he had today.
And you wonder in a game like this with the defense that the Miami Dolphins have, a Vic Fangio defense that's really good, you wonder, okay, are they going to take away the best option for the Bills? Are they going to be able to take away Stephon Diggs? But in a game like this, you needed your best player in Stephon Diggs. You needed the 6 receptions, the 120 receiving yards out of him. And he happens to be the second Bill with 3 receiving touchdowns in a game against Miami since Lee Evans did it in 2005. Did the Dolphins just have a tough time guarding him? What was it?
I think you got to tip your hat to Ken Dorsey. He makes Steph hard to find, and even when he does, he's by himself, and you've got, got 1,000 receivers on one side and Steph by himself. You've got to give numbers over there just to be sound defensively. So they stretch the defense thin by putting Steph over there by himself, particularly on that last touchdown we just saw, and let him work. There's only so much a defensive coordinator can do when your offensive coordinator says, listen, we got a guy, and you're going to have a hard time isolating him or double teaming him with the way we're going to give it to you. So kudos to Ken Dorsey for not only seeing, hey, Steph's having a day, let's give it to him, but also finding a way to make it so it's difficult for the Miami Dolphins either to find where he's going to be or at least to put enough guys on him to put a stop to it. And Ken Dorsey deserves a lot of credit, and of course Steph and Josh deserve a ton.
Oh yeah. That touchdown celebration that he had too in the end zone, absolutely epic. All right, we've got more players who are answering some questions, so let's get it over to Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau.
Well, I heard that there was, a pool going around to see who was going to get the tour first. So guess, Greg, you won.
How you won? You got to it before me?
Got there first, yeah. Got there first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You too.
Well, he got there the most time, so it's all good.
No.
Let's just talk about how fired up you guys were all this week as far as the D-line.
Yeah, we were real fired up. Just ready to go out there, get after it, try to affect the game, whether it's getting our hands up or getting after by getting sacks and QB hits. And, it's easy when you got dudes like Ed next to you, DQ, Flo, AJ, Tim. I can go on. It's easy when you got a whole bunch of dogs out there just ready to hunt.
Ed, one of the things you said this week was it's your job to kind of affect the passing game, whether it's get there. He just alluded to it as well. How do you feel like you guys did that tonight?
I'm not sure how many sacks and quarterback hits we got, but we surely affected them. Last week they put up 70, this week 20, a big difference. So, something we was doing was right. I'm not technically sure what all we done right, but pretty sure we did a lot of good things.
You did some great things. I know you talked about shutting down the run, this week. You pretty much did that. I know A-Chain did get the chunk runs for the most part. Y'all was able to.
What they end with?
They end with 142, but A-Chain had that big run.
Yeah,
so.
40? The 40-yard at the end of the game.
Yeah, but for the most part, y'all pretty much had the run.
What they run for last week, like 3-something?
Yeah, they ran crazy last week.
Yeah, so I feel like, for the most part, we did good. Could have been better, definitely. Always could be better.
Yeah.
But what it was like just to make a team that's so much of a juggernaut, one-dimensional out there?
At the end of the day, you could have good weeks. We had 9 sacks last week, but, we still got to come to the game, put our pads on, put our pants on, and go do the same thing again. So, every week kind of has, its own breath of life, and you got to go out there and kind of just renew it every single week. So that was just our mindset. It doesn't really matter what happened for the opposing team last week or for us. We just got to go out there and do it.
I feel like Josh and the offense, they kept us in the game early. Mm-hmm. They scored 2 quick touchdowns, and we answered back, and we kept answering them, and they let us kind of get settled down to where we could stop them, and they can go ahead and separate. So I feel like at the beginning of the game, they held us down until we could catch up, and then once we got going, we were all right.
Yeah.
As a defense, did you guys take it as an added challenge? Because I'm sure both of you were asked a lot of questions this week about 70 points last week. Was there more of a, focus this week or anything like that?
With every week it's different, and obviously with a team that just scored 70, there's going to be a lot of hype and stuff. But like I said, you got to go out there and do it every single week. The league, it pretty much renews itself every single Sunday. So we knew we had to just come prepared, come ready to go, and just get the job done, do our 111th, do our part.
How important was it for you guys to take away Tula's passing lanes with those quick drops he had been having success with at the beginning of the season?
Just rushing coverage, working together. We knew he was a timing thrower. He trying to get the ball out of his hand. But like I said, with the offense scoring points and turning the game into more of a drop-back game for him, where he had to hold it a little bit, that's really what's the difference. Once he had all of the wide zone, whatever, he had to start dropping back and throwing the ball. That's when we really could get after him.
Guys, this week, Sean McDermott said that one of the keys about facing this offense was to not kind of get caught up in it all, just stick to the fundamentals that you guys take to the field no matter who you play. Do you feel like you accomplished that, and was that part of the success today?
Yeah, I feel like we did for sure, but there's definitely a lot of things that I know I could have done better, and just as a team, the places that we can grow, places that we could keep on elevating. So yeah, but we got a W today, and that's all that matters.
Can you guys take me through just the reaction to some trades?
I honestly didn't see the play or whatever. I think, didn't we get a sack? I had a sack on that play, I think. And I was like celebrating. Then I turned around, I seen Trey on the ground. I walked up, and you could tell he was obviously emotional. And it just really sucks because he does everything to take care of his body and get back to playing at a high level, all-pro level. And then I don't know what happened, but like I said, I didn't see it. But just to see anything go wrong to where he's visibly emotional is it's crazy, So.
How do you guys maintain this good balance, this good momentum that you guys are having, early in the season? How do you guys maintain it going into Monday?
Man, like I said, every single week is a new week, so we know that, once this Sunday is over with, whatever we did today doesn't really matter. We got to get ready for whoever we play next, and just be dialed in, locked in all the details, play with our fundamentals, all during 1/11th, and like I said, it kind of renews itself every single week.
Greg, after hearing all this stuff about
Miami Dolphins, how important was it to show what this team can do, and maybe how tired might have you been hearing about what? Well, if you've got an answer there, Ed, too.
You got it.
We done went go play. I think last week we was playing the Commanders,
Washington.
and all they could talk about was their defense. This week they talked more so about their defense than our defense. So we just trying to make people talk. We're trying to wake everybody up and make people talk. So we want everybody to know that this defense is for real, and we got special guys on this defense.
I'm not sure if you've seen, but over the past week or so, maybe 2 weeks, your teammate DeQuan Jones has been tweeting about maybe how he wants a little bit more credit for what's going on.
Get that boy more credit, man. Come on now.
Albert, you can speak to what makes him.
He's like that.
Nah, he really is like that, and I feel like he been in the league for a long time and got the short end of the stick for a long time. And man, this year is just it's not his coming out party, but he deserves his flowers. And man, what? It's through 4 weeks he got 2.5.
Yeah.
Come on now. What other nose guards getting numbers like that besides Vita or the top D tackles in the league?
Yeah.
His pressure rate probably up there. TFLs, everything you want out of nose guard. His numbers is up. He needs his flowers ASAP.
Facts.
Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau, the entire defensive line, they have been getting after the quarterback to start the season. This team leads the NFL in pressure rate. In the first half of this game, they pressured Tua on 42.1% of his dropbacks, which was nearly double what he faced in the first 3 weeks to start the season per Next Gen Stats. And heading into this game, Tua was only sacked once and hit 5 times. In this game, the Bills' defense was able to sack Tua 4 times and hit him 9 times.
Right.
What did you see from the pressure that they were able to generate on Tua, and the fact that because of that pressure, the back end of the defense was able to take that first look away?
Yeah, and it came down to that. They did it a couple of times, taking that first look away to give them a little extra time. But early on in this game, they couldn't get there. They struggled to get there. And then as the game wore on, more and more, the guys started setting up their pass rushes, getting a feel for what the offensive line was doing. Terron Armstead going down, he went downhill and then finally was out of the game. So they were adjusting on the other side, and then they were thinking about what they were doing rather than what the Bills' defensive line were doing. And then late in this game, when the Bills knew they were going to drop back and throw it, that's when they started to feast. And at the end of this game, they were all over Tua a lot. They were pressuring him a ton, and those sacks came on, they were turning it over on downs the last 3 possessions of the game. So the Bills' defense was getting a chance to really get after him, and that was because of the situation the game was in. And it's a tough thing for Miami's offense to be in a situation for them to be in and be back there. They knowing they got to get chunks of yards and trying to get back into it. right where the defense wanted them to be.
Tua gets the ball out faster than any other quarterback in the NFL, but today, especially after the defense was able to kind of force the Miami Dolphins to punt, and once the offense slowed down on Miami's end of things, you saw Tua hold on to the ball a little bit longer, and that's why the defensive line was able to get after the quarterback, and the secondary kind of did their thing. Speaking of the secondary, Micah Hyde and Damar Hamlin are now on the podium.
How to feel, get back out there, regular season environment, and away with the win on top of that?
It felt amazing, the energy from the fans was amazing, but just being able to be out there with my teammates, have my family in the stands, play again with, everybody on the team, that just gives me confidence, just feeds me like positive energy, positive everything all week long, and just to get out there and play with everybody again felt amazing.
Did you ever wonder if this game would come on that? So you dreamed of it. How special was it?
Well, it was a choice I made, so, I knew it would come someday. It was just all about staying ready and just being ready to do my part. That's been my goal ever since I, became a Bill.
Mike, there's so much positive to take away from today, but losing Tre'Davious in the way that you guys did, can you reflect on that and how big of a potential loss that might be?
Yeah, a ton of high, a ton of lows today. Obviously, we start off with just D-Ham, just him being a part of today, getting back on the field. I'm so proud of this guy right here, and I said it way back when. Just to see what he went through and been there for each and every step, to see D-Ham come back, put the pads on. Mentally, I prepared myself to get back ready for this season, and that's not even close to what D-Ham went through. So I'm going to start off saying I'm extremely proud of him. It's my brother right here. I love him to death.
Love you too.
And then another brother went down today. Obviously, wins and losses are a part of the game, but seeing one of your boys go down like that is always tough. Seeing Tre'Davious, work through what he went through last year, getting back Thanksgiving, and kind of working his way, seeing that positive energy, seeing Tre'Davious White be, himself over the last couple months, and I just as a brother, man, I was extremely excited for him, and then to see that happen today, it's sad. Forget the game, forget everything that happened today. Just 2-7 is a big part of this team. One of our brothers has been here for a while together, and just like I just said, highs are highs and lows are lows today.
Right, you're the one right there. You were right with him as he's on the turf. How important did you feel it was to be there? And what did you try to say?
All of us were there around. I honestly didn't know really what was going on. He knew what happened, but we were all there just trying to talk to him. And sometimes at that point, there's really nothing you can say. It's kind of one of those situations that, words can't really help Tre'Davious at that point. So we just, when stuff started to settle down, obviously he understands we're there for him. We love him. And like I said, 2-7 is a big part of this team.
Mike, the focus on the game was on the field and the win. But you guys kind of get tired of the Dolphins and it looked like showed.
Of course, we heard a lot about it. That's pretty rare to happen. It's pretty, watching the tape from last week, big play after big play after big play after big play, not just from the receivers, from the backs, from the quarterback, from everybody. So, we knew going into this game, ultimately we're a defense that tries not to give up big plays. Everybody can say that around the league, but we've been successful doing that since 2017. So, we're going to stick to our DNA, and from there, let's roll the ball out and see what happens. So that's kind of our mindset.
I apologize. What happened second quarter, Trey? I think you guys came up with 3 straight stops there toward halftime after they scored on a couple of drives. What was it that you were able to kind of hone in on and execute? Did it really change the complexion of the game?
Just settling in. Obviously, an offense like that, a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage, kind of capture your eyes. You can see it in practice, but we don't have 10 and 17. I have a scout team; they do an amazing job. Nothing against them; they give us amazing looks each and every day. But it's not 10 and 17 that's out there running it. So they were doing a lot of that, and for us, it was just more about just settling down. It happened to us. honestly, the last 2 weeks with the Raiders and the Commanders, just kind of settling down, and we're able to do that after, giving up 14 points. But ultimately, we were able to get some stops.
Tomorrow, no offense. Special teams chipping in. Delaney with a couple of those long fields that he handed to Miami offense. When you guys get a king down there, you know that Henderson crowd is going to come into play. They're going to fall start right after that. So how big was it, kind of seeing some fans long field?
Field position is everything in the game. You can win or lose a game by just field position. That's something we preach all week. That's, it's a fundamental of coming into a game ready and preparing to win. So, just trying to do our part on special teams, just getting our defense or our offense in good field position. So, it'll, over the course of a whole game, it'll be the difference.
When you took the field out of the tunnel, you ran all the way across the field, and really, it was like an emotional moment when you stood there with your arms outstretched. How big was that, and how important was it to get your first game jitters out by being on the opening kickoff?
Very important. That moment meant everything to me. I think it was more so about proving something to myself than anything else. Just showing myself that I have the courage, I got the strength, I got the pride, everything, all of those words, in me to be able to go through something so traumatic and, be able to come back from it and to be able to still do what I love at the highest level in the world is amazing, you know what I mean? And just for a second, I want to speak on T. White. In Cincinnati, I was in the hospital, watching T. White sit at the same podium speaking so highly of me, and I watch him come in the building every day and, work his ass off. He's probably the hardest worker on the team. And, just being a young player, they always tell you, find some older guys to, find yourself through, by their routine, by the way they carry themselves, by, just who they are, who they become over the league. And, Micah, that's a big one, and T. White is another big one, you know what I mean? From a distance, I just admire his work ethic. I admire who he is as a person, his consistency, his discipline, everything. So, we're with him for sure. And, I just want to extend my love and speak highly of him the same way he did of me up here.
Thanks, guys. All the thoughts, love, and prayers heading out to Trey White right now as he didn't return in the game due to an evaluation of an Achilles injury. We don't have any update there. Maybe Sean McDermott will have one. If not, I'm sure we'll have one during the week next week. But we hope it's not long-term or anything like that. But how good was it to see Damar Hamlin get back in the game today?
It was really good. It was a moment, no question about it. He came out for pregame warm-ups in the crowd, really, and they knew who he was, right? It was like Josh Allen coming out of the stands, out of this tunnel. So it was good. It's a big moment, and I think it's a big accomplishment. And it's one of those milestones that that takes you further and further into the rest of Damar's life that for a minute didn't look like was going to happen. So. We're getting, you and I and all of us being here in the building, we see him, we kind of see him every day, and we know, he's doing great. But to get him out on the field and let everybody else get a chance to love on him and see him, it was a special day, and I think a milestone that Buffalo needed. Micah
Hyde talked in the press conference about watching the Miami Dolphins on film and the big playability that they have and how they wanted to shut that down. And he said, since Sean McDermott has been here, we've done a good job of doing that. And since 2017, they've allowed a league low 119 passes of 25 or more yards. Today, they do not allow one pass of over 25 yards. Devon Achane did have that long rush, that 55-yard rush, but when it came to the passing game, they were able to limit the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill only had 3 receptions for 58 receiving yards. This team has done a really good job in limiting Tyreek Hill. What can you say about the secondary and the job that they had today? Even when guys were going in and out. I mean, Christian Benford came out of the game at a point. Trey White came out of the game. Dane Jackson had to play quite a bit in this one, and they didn't look like they really missed a beat there.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, the Bills do such a good job, and they were really good at it even under Leslie Frazier. But with Sean McDermott, they've got something else in that recipe that makes them a little bit more special, I think, defensively. Their ability to keep a lid on the big play and also to be aggressive at the front and the back. I mean, we've seen already like 3 dropped. They lead the league in interceptions. They dropped a couple today. There's something in this recipe that is really allowing the Bills to play free and easy in the back end. And I think it has a lot to do with what's going on up front and the communication between them. But Milano and Benford, the athleticism and the instinctiveness that they're showing has really spread throughout the back half of the defense and allowed them not only to play aggressively, but to play in alignments with Sean McDermott's call that keeps a lid on everything. I don't know what is different about it, but certainly just to the casual fans, like, wow, there's something in there that's allowing the Bills to play really, really fast and free and easy and have a lot of chances to get the defensive backs' hands on balls. We saw a tip pass early in the game today, and it looked like it was going to get picked off, and it turned into a first down for Miami. So I thought, oh, it's going to be one of those days. Tre'Davious White early in the game looked like a pick six, and it banged right off his shoulder pad. Stuff like that still happens. Then, of course, Micah Hyde does make the interception later on, and they're getting the ball out on the ground. Their ability to get turnovers is one of the things that has really been missing for long stretches the last year or two. And this hot start that they've gotten off to, particularly on the defensive side, has been in large measure due to that.
They led the NFL coming into this one with 9 takeaways. They add 2 more today. All right, back to offense. Stephon Diggs and Mitch Morse now on the podium.
Not so much that. It was more so just, executing. Like we talked about it during the weeks, like certain plays. And then, like, when they came up, everybody getting on the same page and really just, usual football. Like Josh throwing around, the big guys blocking, receivers catching. It wasn't much more than that. More so just everybody really doing their job.
Could you take us through the 3 touchdowns? I think the first one, was it a scramble drill or you just crossing and getting behind the linebacker there?
It was kind of a scramble drill. I'm going to say it was that. But I stole the touchdown from, I think, the tight end behind me, I think. So he said he was on it to me.
Did you steal 2 beers from fans?
Yeah, I owed somebody like $18, so.
And then the long one down the sideline where you kind of spun.
Try to catch the ball, break some tackles, make something happen. I was a little tired after that, so I got to work on my conditioning.
And then tell us about the route that you ran on the treadmill.
Yeah, we had talked about it during the week, trying to capitalize. I feel like, in a game, things show up kind of a little different. So being on the same page with Josh is crucial, especially in those moments in the red zone. So capitalizing in the red zone has been a big thing for us, as Mitch knows. So, I try not to make it more than what it was, but it's cool there.
Timothy Diggs, 6 catches,
What's up, big guy?
120 yards. 3 scores today. You talked about it this week about, getting in that end zone. So how eager and how excited were you just to go out there to make some plays for you guys out there?
I was happy, this football thing, you never know how it's going to show up. You know what I'm saying? I kind of echo what Mitch says. He said take it one moment at a time. And I feel like we came out with the right mindset. Guys are blocking their ass off. And, just the touchdowns, it's all the glitz and the glam, but the big guys don't get enough credit for. I need a lot of things to happen for me to catch the ball and me to make some plays. So kind of want to give them all the credit.
Hey, Mitch, Josh had a perfect quarterback rating today, which was a first for him, believe it or not. It just seemed like he had an answer for everything. You kind of quantify that. I mean, did he have an answer for everything today?
Yeah, it's interesting when you're in the thick of the game. You just, not to be cliche coach talk, you do try to take it one moment at a time. You don't really understand what the highlights are, or I had no idea Diggs scored 3 touchdowns until right now, and that just speaks to how not only of a great competitor he is, but the tools he has and just what he brings to this offense. I thought it was just a culmination of everyone doing their job, and when the number was called, no matter what the play, I think the great thing about this team and this offense that's not everywhere is that no matter what play is called, you're excited to block for it or you're excited to do what's required from you because you know that there's an opportunity for a big play. On another note, I think I don't know if I'm the most qualified person to speak on this, and Diggs might chime in more here, but a guy who is not only a consummate professional, but is universally loved on this team, went down today, and he's a guy that doesn't want the limelight. He would do conditioning before training camp practices, which I've never seen in my life. And he does it for all the right reasons. And to see that today, I know it's the parody of this league. You saw it earlier with Tommy Doyle, but and I know a lot of people have spoken on it, but it's a damn shame. And hopefully you guys keep him in your prayers because he means so much to this team and does it for all the right reasons. And he's a father of three. This game means a lot to him, and being a good teammate and being there for his teammates means a lot to him. So just keep him in your prayers, please.
Steph, can you know about your emotions, your thoughts on Trey Lopez?
It's been a rough week with some injuries, so it's a guy that really loves the grind. You know what I'm saying, like a true professional, but a lover of the game as well. Like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying, he really nursed himself back. Like, he really worked to get himself back into where he was, and to see him kind of get into a flow, it was rough. You know what I'm saying, I try to stay positive. You know what I'm saying, but like Mitch said, keep him in your prayers, because this game people don't really understand it weigh on you. You know what I'm saying, the good, bad, and indifferent. And with everything he had already been through, it's kind of tough. So, you know what I'm saying, really keep him in your prayers, because at this very moment, you know what I'm saying, it's easy just to be it's unfortunate, but it means the world to him. Like, football meant a lot to him. And you can tell it by how he works, how he grinds, how he approaches each and every day. He doesn't care, like he said, he don't really care about the limelight. He cared about the grind and really just being the best player and teammate he could be. So, yeah, I ask you to do more than just keep him in your prayers, to really lift him up, you know what I'm saying, because a time like this, it's rough.
Mitch, there was an investment in the offseason, guard to guard, and guys on your side of the 3-4 weeks. The interior of the pocket was very, very clean with Josh. Step up an awful lot. So a lot of growth and a lot of plays. Just from the first 3 weeks that I know you've seen on film, do you recognize that? Because it seemed like you guys have been pretty clean and consistent.
I think at the time you start getting complacent and you feel like you're clean is when stuff goes right. To your point, the guys have come in. I can speak in for Connor. It was such a different system for him, Cromer's system. I've spoken on it before. And he's treated like a consummate professional, worked on it every day. And then when you have a rookie, a highly touted rookie who comes in, and I've said this before, excuse my language, you just hope he doesn't think his shit doesn't stink. And I he couldn't be more opposite. The guy's he's a sponge of information, great football player, and he doesn't ride the roller coaster if he makes mistakes or not. And I think he's going to be an amazing football player in this league. I think we all on the offensive line try to take it one day at a time, and we understand that there's still a lot to work on. But when you give guys like Steph or Josh opportunities to you have that extra second, and kudos to Josh, who gets us out of a lot of situations that might not be the most desirable with his legs, right? I think we're just trying to compound on that, and I'm not going to take away anything from these tacklers who are playing their ass off as well, who a guy like Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins, who really push themselves in practice, and it's showing, and you guys might not see it, but it's showing on the field. So,
Which as each week was built itself, what do you find out about this team? Knowing that this was a week that all you heard about was Miami this, Miami that, and then you guys put up 48 points, 400-something yards, and you shut that offense. What does this week reveal to you?
well, to be honest, I think this week, along with the last few weeks, we just really focused on in-house, keeping it. Like, we really don't care what the opponent's going to be doing. We really care about us. And I think the thing we understand is that we can't beat ourselves out there on the field. Kudos to them for doing that past week. They deserve all the credit they get. I mean, putting up 70 points in this league is a remarkable feat. And they're a great football team. They are. They're a fantastic football team. And I think we can speak for all of us that even with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, down 4 scores, we were still feeling uneasy because of how explosive they could be. But, for us, at halftime or every quarter we come out, I think Steph will lose this every time we get on the field is like, this is a clean slate, man. Like, what can we do this drive right now? And how can we be as effective in this drive? And I think that really resonates with the guys. It's a good reset. And we really don't calm down until the clock hits zero in this team. And I think we're going to have to keep that up, because this is very uncharacteristic in these last 3 weeks in this league, right? So we're gonna have these games that we're gonna have to really fight through the end, and we understand that this is kind of a rarity these past few weeks.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering what was uncharacteristic.
Our guy Chris Brown called one heck of a game today. We were in
Yes, he
the
did.
radio booth with him and got to hear his energy and passion for the game. He was able to provide a couple takeaways from the game right after, so let's go over to Chris Brown.
It was complimentary football personified by the Buffalo Bills in this big AFC East matchup with the division rival Dolphins. The offense was wildly productive, with Josh Allen throwing for 4 touchdowns, 3 of which went to Stephon Diggs, and over 300 yards on the day. Meanwhile, Buffalo's defense did a good job keeping the Dolphins' #1 scoring attack under wraps, forcing Tua Tagovailoa into an interception. They also forced a fumble for a turnover. Both of those led to 10 points for the Bills. Even the special teams contributed, creating a couple of long fields for Miami's offense. So in part 1 of McDaniel versus McDermott, this one goes to the Buffalo head coach. At Highmark Stadium, I'm Chris Brown for Bills Postgame Live.
All right, we know we could be playing this team up to 3 times this season. I think that's what we're all thinking at this point. I mean, we saw the Dolphins in the playoffs last year. All 3 games last year were decided by 3 points or less. This first game of these two meeting each other this season, not decided by 3 points or less, but I think we know the next time we see the Dolphins, it's going to be a tough test. It always is. This team has good things going for them on both sides of the ball, and we could see them again in the playoffs. A couple of fun notes here. The Bills are 12-1 in their last 13 games against the Dolphins, and since 2020, the Bills have the NFL's best home record, including playoffs. They're 26-6 at home since 2020, and that's in part because of head coach Sean McDermott. He's on the podium right now answering some questions.
Glory to God, man. What an afternoon in Orchard Park, right? Western New York, the crowd. I don't think I've heard a crowd that loud in my career in the NFL, and there were times when we couldn't even communicate with the middle linebacker out there, and I'm sure Doris had the same issue with Josh. But amazing environment. Really proud of the players. Really proud of the staff. I know people may want to say about game plan this, game plan that. The players did a phenomenal job, man. At the end of the day, the players executed at a very, very high level, and it came down to fundamentals. And I'm really proud of the way that they played, complimentary-wise, and effort-wise as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to you for your questions.
Coach, you always talk about this game is one up front. Just care to talk about the O-line, D-line in the trenches?
Yeah, that's where the game starts, and we talk about that quite a bit, and you can never take that for granted, never. Our O-line and our D-line, Coach Cromer, Coach Washington, Coach Gund, Coach West, they do a phenomenal job every week, and it's a weekly deal, right? So that's where it's got to start.
Sean, not to take away from the win, but there was a lot of emotion with all the guys that come through here. On the sideline, you saw yourself go out and talk with Trey. Not to ask for a specific update on the injury itself, but if it is as serious as it maybe it appeared, just how tough is that for him knowing what he's been through?
Yeah, they're obviously still evaluating. Yeah, I mean, he's been through a lot, and sometimes you wonder, right, why things like that happen twice, to someone. I'm not saying what it is. I'm just saying, like, you just wonder why, because you watch him, how hard he's worked to get back, and I know he's a man of faith, and I know how strong he is, and he will rebound.
Coach, he was your first player that you selected during your tenure. How much of a reflection is that for you, as coach, as you've been to him over the years?
Yeah. He personifies what it is to be a Buffalo Bill. His family is tremendous, and he works as hard as anybody I've ever been around. and I love him. I mean, to see him on that field the way he was hurting is hard. It's hard to watch. But I'm so proud of the team and the way they rallied around him. And I know, like I said earlier, I know that he will rebound. He's too tough.
Hey, Sean, how impressed were you with Ken and his staff this week, putting guys in position to then execute some of those matchups?
Yeah, phenomenal job. And like I told the team, that the defense was reeling early. We couldn't stop them early through the first two drives, and our offense was rolling. So they held serve while we can kind of get our way about us, and that was just as important as anything. But that you can go put up 48 points, that doesn't happen real easily. So that's a good defense. Coach Fangio is a great defensive coordinator, and real proud of the way the offense played. They were top shelf today and taking care of the ball as well.
Dane coming in when Christian went out, how did you think he performed when he had that opportunity?
Yeah, we had a couple of those instances, at least on defense. I'm not sure if we had some on offense also, but we were, next man up type of deal, and I thought that was important because the backups at those said positions were ready to go, and you don't take that for granted either. They got to be physically ready, mentally ready to step in and do their 111th, and those guys did it.
Well, as you alluded to a couple of the questions ago, that you kind of settled down defensively. I think 3 straight stops at the end of the half there or whatever, and that kind of swung momentum and changed a little bit of the complexion of the game at that time. What was it that you were able to either diagnose as the guy who calls this thing, or what was it that the players were able to execute? Micah mentioned looking at their pre-snap stuff and some of the motion and maybe kind of getting a better read on it.
Yeah, I just think the players just settled in. I didn't call anything differently overall. The guys just did a really good job of just settling down, catching their breath a little bit. It's a fast offense, and they do a lot of motioning and movement, right? And so I think it's hard to simulate that in practice. And so I think when it first started on us, it had us on our heels a little bit, even from a fundamental standpoint. But they stuck with the process, stayed resilient, and then again we played complementary football really throughout the entire afternoon.
Sean Terrell said that he had even trouble hearing you, in the middle line. You talk about his communication. What, like, from you to him, was that challenging for you at times?
Yeah, there was times. I mean, there was probably honestly 40%, which is unreal. How, in terms of a high number, 40% of the calls he was not getting from me. He was getting via the hand signals. So.
Sean, once again, Josh and Steph made some unbelievable plays.
Yeah.
Does it ever make you wonder, like, what can't these two do when they're out there, when you see how they're performing like they did today?
Yeah, fun to watch. I mean, I don't get a chance to watch as much as I would like to, but big-time players have big-time games or in these type settings, right? So complementary football is important. Like, it's a team win, but your star players have to play at star levels in these games, and that's a weekly thing, and those guys played at that level this afternoon.
Josh had a perfect passer rating the first time in his career, 5 touchdowns, tied a career high. I know you say it's a week-to-week thing, but he's had a lot of success against that opponent. What do you think it is about? Is it because it's a division game that brings out the best in him, or just how does he kind of find that level of performance?
Well, I mean, you'd want the first reaction is, well, the scheme, but they've changed defensive coordinators, right? So you can't say that. I just think that Josh's process, right, during the week, his preparation, the way he's maturing and developing and bringing the discipline, that really impressed with what he's done, in particular the last 3 weeks.
When you go into this without Jordan, obviously a big spot for Taylor.
Yep.
You got to watch the tape, but what do you make of what he was able to do out there?
Yeah, he's played before, right? He started at LA last year, and he's been a great addition. Brendan did a great job getting him signed, and he was prepared. I say this about a lot of the players, but Taylor's one of the first in, one of the last out every day, and whether he starts or he wasn't starting, and so it didn't change this week as it relates to his role. In terms of like his process is the same every week, and that's part of why he had the success he did today. Yeah, what an afternoon overall. You just set the win aside for a second, like we're saying, 9 months ago. This young man's in the situation he was in, and now he's back playing, training camp in the spring, training camp preseason, and now a regular season game at an NFL level. Just a surreal moment again to watch. I mean, the cameras were all flocking around him. I made sure I stayed over here. But he deserves the attention he gets, and I love the fact that he makes it about the team in so many ways.
Coach, I know you always love having those Gatorades in the fourth quarter here, but just care to talk about how well Josh is managing the game the past 3 weeks. I mean, he found 8 different targets and been very efficient. Just care to talk about how he's been able to manage the game.
Yeah. Again, I just think when you're playing good team offense, you're not any quarterback is not predetermining where they're going with the ball. Just spreading the ball around and taking what the defense gives you. Again, it's an unselfish approach, and everyone's involved. And so when you're doing that, everybody's getting their piece, right? And that's a good thing.
What role does faith play in your preparation for games like this?
Well, regardless of the size of the game, and I appreciate you asking that question, my faith is my faith. It's the most important thing in my life, and I think that's why I'm in this role, is because God put me in this role He gave me a platform. So I'm extremely grateful.
Well, less important than that question, I guess.
Yeah, good luck following that question.
I'm sorry. You're go. I don't really care for this question. The front four, in your defense, the front four getting pressure on the quarterback just with those four, how important is that in being able to impact the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, similar to the offensive side of the ball. When you can control the line of scrimmage, it just makes the day a lot easier. Whether you're calling plays or you're playing around, offensively, defensively, whatever, when you control the line of scrimmage, the game dictates. And so that was apparent today. I thought our defensive line, once we settled down, did a great job controlling the line of scrimmage, and then offensively as well.
It's probably not like this for you and your coaching staff, but Daquan Jones kind of flies under the radar when people talk about the defensive line. When he plays, he makes a lot of plays.
Yeah.
That's pretty loud.
Yeah. No, I mean, he comes to work every day. He brings his lunch pail to work, and we noticed him in free agency when he was in Carolina, and as you said, there are factors, right? Everyone wants to talk about the stars, the Joshes, the Stephs, but there are a lot of guys that factor every week that go under the radar, and he's one of them.
Coach, when Saran Neal can put a long field, and you've got the crazy people in the end zone yelling into his ear, we saw it make a difference today. I mean, penalties, long down and distance, now you got it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't, TB couldn't hear me. It was, like I told you, I've been in the league a long time, and as loud of a crowd as I've ever heard in my time in the NFL, and playoff games, whatever it's been, that was as loud as it gets, man. Because I don't know how in our world it could get any louder. It sounded like jet engines out there. It really did. I mean, it was deafening.
Sean, you've got a different week ahead of you here with players going through this new experience. What kind of challenges are that?
Yeah, well, it'll be. We got to be on the same page, and a lot of collaboration has gone into it behind the scenes. And I think, the staff has done a phenomenal job. I'm not talking about myself or the coaches. I'm talking about like the support staff, operationally, business side, have done a great job behind the scenes. Working behind the scenes to keep the players focused on this week, and now it's time to get everybody up to speed on what's happening, when, and where we're going. And this will be my first time going over there as well, so it'll be an experience for me. But at the end of the day, we got a job to do, so we got to make sure we reset tomorrow and get ourselves ready to go.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Sean McDermott. We've got to give our kudos and our flowers to Josh Allen before we wrap up here because he had one heck of a game. He's thrown for multiple touchdowns in 12 straight games against Miami, including the playoffs. It's the longest streak by a quarterback against a single opponent in NFL history. He had more touchdowns than he did in completions today. He goes 320 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 158.3 passer rating, 84% completion percentage. He is too good.
Yeah, he also became the second player in NFL history with a game where he had 300 yards passing or more, 4 TDs passing, 1 rushing TD, and a perfect 158.3 rating, as you mentioned. It's the highest mark you can get in a single game. There's only one other guy who's done it, and that was Aaron Rodgers. Did it in Week 7 of 2019. So Josh had a day today.
Why was he so good today? I mean, we saw that first game from Josh Allen, and it was like, all right, we got to reel it in a little bit. And then since then, he's been so great in the last 3 games. And we've seen him take the criticism and take, hey, these are things that I need to work on. And then you better believe it, the next game, it looks a whole lot better.
There was a couple moments today when you could just feel Josh saying, okay, I'm going to get a big one here. And he did, and he checked it down.
Yeah.
He took the easy completion on a 3rd and 4 or something like that. He took the easy completion, got the first down, and here we go again. There were times when he just wants to get a big one on 3rd down, like he wants to go for a big one, and he's really removed that thought process from his mind, and now he just, let's get a first down, and now it's 1st and 10, let's go. You could see it today, and for those of us who watch him closely, you can just feel the wheels turning in his mind, say, no, I'm not going to do it. And he takes the easy completion to sometimes it was James Cook, sometimes it was Kincaid. Kincaid had a couple of catches today. Dawson Knox. Just the ability to just take and it looks so easy. You understand why he's like, that's too easy. I don't want to do that, right? The hard part is making the decision to take the easy one. He's doing that more. The team is staying on the field. They're 50% again this year on 3rd. They led the league last year with a 50% conversion rate on 3rd down. They were 5 of 10 today. They are a hard out right now. They are hard to beat. And the Dolphins are too, and the Bills got it done by 28 points today. Those 2 teams, and the good teams will feel like this, and I said it. The good teams, you only beat them when you play well and they help you. Yeah. The Bills played well, and they gave the Dolphins no help. And the Dolphins they started the game well, but then they gave the Bills a couple of turnovers, coughed the ball up, and then they had to start putting. They couldn't convert. And the Bills, they were 0 for 4 on 3 4th down tries on the conversion. They turned the ball over on downs 3 times today.
To end the game.
That's big. Kudos to the defense. The Bills were hitting on all cylinders. They didn't make any mistakes.
Special teams was good, too. Saran Neal had a couple big plays.
It was really a good day. They hit on all cylinders. They didn't help the other team, and they beat a very good Dolphins team by 28 points. That's where you're sitting right now.
Yeah. Next up is London. The Bills are 3-1 heading to London. They'll take on the Jaguars. It'll be an interesting week for them. They'll spend part of the week here and then part of the week over in London preparing for that Sunday morning game. An exciting week for the Bills, an exciting week for the NFL as more games head over to Europe. We love to see it. We will be here all week, so we'll be keeping you guys informed from this One Bills Live studio. But we want to thank you for tuning in to our post-game live show. Ticketmaster is the presenting sponsor of the Buffalo Bills 2023 season. Ticketmaster is the official ticket marketplace of the NFL. And for Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. We will say goodbye to you guys, and we will see you next week. A big win for the Bills today. Hopefully we have some more wins down the road.